Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at another character from the core box. This time it's going to be Red Skull. So joining with me as always is Brad and Brandon, and we're looking over this in cerebromcp.com. Got that mixed up. So without further ado, let's get into Red Skull, aka Johann Schmidt. He is the leader of Cabal, or one of the leaders of the Cabal affiliation. He is 6 stamina, medium mover, size 2, 4 threat. He has 4 physical, 3 energy, 3 mystic defense. He has a range 2 5 dice strike, which has the standard power equal to damage dealt gain, and a wild push. So before damage dealt, this character may push the target character away short. Now notice that that does not have a size restriction on it, so very good and kind of the new MCP 1.5 rule set. He has Cosmic Blast, which is a range 4 5 dice energy attack that costs 1 with a wild set power. So before damage is dealt, the target character loses 1 power for each wild in the roll, and you gain that much power. His final attack is Unleash the Cube, range 4 7 dice energy, 4 power cost. If this attack deals damage after it is resolved, this character may throw the target character short. Again, no size restriction on that. With a Wild Reality Warp. After this attack is resolved, the target character and characters within 1 of the target character gain the stun special condition. This character is not affected by Reality Warp, so you get your throw first, then you can also trigger your Reality Warp to give extra characters stun. So he has the Master of Evil Affiliation Cabal Leadership. Each time an ally character damages an enemy character with an attack, after the attack is resolved, the attacking character gains 1 power. So whenever you do damage with an attack, you will gain 1 additional power off of it. A very good leadership ability. He has the active superpowers Cosmic Cube, which is a 0 cost action. This character gains 3 power. Roll 5 dice. For each skull rolled, this character suffers 1 damage. This superpower can only be used once per turn. He has the Master of the Cube. Choose this character or another allied character within 4 of this character and place it within 2 of its current position. A character can be placed by the superpower only once per turn. So that costs 3. Your Cosmic Cube also lets you generate 3, so you can essentially get this every round it's online if you choose the Cosmic Cube. He has the reactive superpower Hail Hydra. When this character is targeted by an attack, it may use this superpower. Choose another allied character within 2 to become the new target of the attack, regardless of range or line of sight, and that's 2 costs. So, pretty good defensive ability for him. If we take a look on his flip side, I believe nothing changes over here. Everything stays the same. And before we kind of give our thoughts on Red Skull and how he's holding up in today's meta, he actually has a character-specific tactics card, which we're going to look at, which is Cosmic Invigoration. It requires the Cabal affiliation to be on the field, and it requires Red Skull to be active. If Red Skull is within 2 of another allied character with an activated token, they may both spend 2 power to play this card. Remove the activated token from the allied character and roll 3 dice. For each crit hit wild, that character suffers 1 damage. It doesn't require Red Skull to be the active character, it just requires you to be active on your turn, excuse me. So, going into that, what do we think of Red Skull in today's current meta? We'll start with you, Brad.
Great. Uh, I don't give Red Skull much thought because I'm not interested in playing a faction that's led by Nazis. Uh, Having said that, I really like his leadership. I wish someone else had it. Uh, it's hard to compete with Sin though. Sin just seems better.
All right, what do you think, Brandon?
I
I think I'm kind of the opposite because I actually think Red Skull's really good. I think the worst thing that he suffers from, and I mean to be fair, Sin suffers from the same thing. When you break down Cabal's roster, you start looking at like the better models and like Bullseye, and then you have like Hood, Kingpin, Modoc, Magneto, Mystique, Omega Red, Sabretooth, like Ultron, probably the top tier of that all Enchantress, Baron Zemo, Baron Mordo. And I think the key thing you realize in that is I named 3 other leaders of different factions, um, all of which are arguably better, um, with Brotherhood and Criminal Syndicate. Actually, I don't even think it's arguable. I think they're just straight up better. I think Kingpin and Magneto and Mystique all have better leadership. So I think it's even when you do
Mm,
want to play these models, even if the argument is just like it just feels like those Brotherhood has the better support pieces, Criminal Syndicate has better support pieces. So it's like when you start breaking it down, I think it's kind of. But I think he does a lot of good things. You mentioned earlier, like he doesn't have any size restriction on his push or his throw. He can get power pretty reliably. He's going to get 1 a turn. If his builder can say he does 3 damage with even 1 damage with his builder, he's all of a sudden going to have 3 power. He can get 3 power with Cosmic Cube. It doesn't seem like he's ever too power hungry. He's pretty sturdy, rolling 4-3-3 with 6 on both sides. Um, like I said, every time I look at a Cabal roster, it's just like even when you build like you pick the best rosters, like oh I can just play Brotherhood, or oh I can just play Criminal Syndicate, or and like I said, then you fall into the kind of the Sin thing that Brad mentioned is the Sin Cabal where you can go a little bit wider is probably a stronger
and
strategy.
and her leadership interacts with uh, the Crisis directly, unlike him.
Yeah, just to touch on what you were talking about a little bit earlier about leaderships, Brandon. I do think that this is a very strong leadership. Comparing it out to something like Magneto, I'd say that just like point for point, this probably gets you more power gain over the course of a game uh, than Magneto's does. The thing though, whenever you're kind of comparing that though, is instead of comparing like leaderships, I think you should just compare the leaders because I think that just about every character in this game just loves this kind of leadership, just gaining extra power, being able to do more of their superpowers, more of their big spenders. But the thing is, when you look at Magneto in comparison to Red Skull, and again, it's a 4 threat compared to a 6 threat, but we can even look at as Mystique as like another leader at Kingpin, for example. Red Skull he does do a lot for his team, but you're just bringing him just for this.
Yeah,
Cosmic
yeah, I
Cube, I
agree with
mean
that.
Cosmic Cube is good. Master of the Cube is good if you have a big character like, if you want to push around somebody like Magneto or like Modok or something like that. But it's really just kind of pigeonholing you into just kind of like this one trick. Red Skull himself doesn't really do a lot. So when you look at Magneto, who again is 2 costs more, he's giving out a lot of power economy, but he's also doing an insane amount of work on the table. And I think whenever you're bringing a leader, you really want them to kind of bring something a little bit more on their own to the table. A lot of the times you're seeing Red Skull just kind of hang back. Every once in a while he's going to be doing Unleash the Cube, but he just kind of
He
hangs
just kind of
back
pops
and
the shot in.
yeah, and that's really all he does. He does spend this action a lot, so already he's down 1 action just for getting the power economy for himself. Even when you look at Mystique, she does have a good leadership. Again, I probably would say that Master of Evil is better, but she's doing more on the table. She is pulling characters in with her deception card. She's rapid firing people, getting power for herself. She's blowing up terrain on enemies. She's giving characters stun for a less of a spender and then doing damage to them after the fact. So I think as a leadership, it's very, very good. As a character, when compared to a lot of the other leaders, I think that Red Skull himself as a character is a little bit lacking. So, like you said, he is sturdy. He has good physical, and he can also sack attacks off onto other people nearby. His Unleash the Cube is a good ability, and the no size restrictions is very, very good. But I think that he's just a little bit lacking in comparison to other leaders out there.
That's what I think hurts him is because there's so many that are in that affiliation that it's like if you want to play bad guys, there are better options. And I think that's a big knock, even though it's like this is a really good affiliation, but you still have to take him. Like he's still the model that's attached to that.
Yeah. Now, I will say if you're a Red Skull fan, and you're just getting in the game, and you and your buddy have just kind of picked up the core set, and you're just looking to get some games in, don't fret. That we're just pound for pound comparing him to some of the other leaders out there. He is fun to play. The affiliation is really flavorful with lots of bad guy characters in there. If you're kind of looking to go that route, this leadership is still a very, very good leadership, and you have a ton of characters to pick from. So don't make us sound like we're saying he's trash or anything. If you want to take Cabal and you want to take Red Skull to one of your locals nights, or even to like a one-day tournament or something like that, you can go. You can perform well, and you can take the tournament with them. There's not really any affiliations in this game that are so weak that you just don't have a chance. I don't think that there's probably really any affiliation like that. You're able to win with everything, and these are probably a good like middling tier. Uh, if you take this affiliation, it's probably like a lower middling tier out of all of them, but still good affiliation, still lots of good characters to use. So overall, I would probably give Red Skull probably about a B minus. He doesn't do a whole lot, but his leadership is very good. So, what about you, Brandon? What would you give him overall as a rating?
I'm gonna go solid C. I think it's just like I said. I think it's just, but I think it's combination of a lot of things. I think him and his shell. I think he's pretty good. I just think the big reason to take him is that Cabal leadership, and he might there might be a game where he just doesn't do anything like besides give out extra power, and that's a lot out of a 4 point model.
Well, I will touch on Cosmic Invigoration again. Like it is a very good card. Being able to remove an activated token can completely swing a game for you. This is pretty much stapled to Red Skull if you're taking him. So I think that this is probably what puts him in the B tier for me. I think I probably will stick with the B minus between the leadership and this card.
You just
Um,
have to play Cabal. If that
you
was just
you
a
just
Red
yeah.
Skull card, if that said unaffiliated,
Oh
that'd be
yeah,
great.
it'd probably be good. But
You know what I
there's
mean?
lots of good characters for him to use it on. I mean, giving Magneto or Modoc two
Yeah.
activations in one round can just be absolutely backbreaking for your opponent, especially if you're positioned well. So yeah, I think I'm sticking with a B minus. So what'd you say? You said C.
Yes, I'll see.
What about you, Brad? What do you think overall?
First, I want to point out Cosmic Invigoration. I also think it's great. I think it's very interesting. It does come with a big potential downside. I've seen it daze the character it's played on. So before Brandon said anything, was also thinking C, and that just seals the deal.
All right.
So
Cabal does have 22 affiliated characters, so
Oh yeah,
you're
there's
not in a shortage of characters. There's
if
a lot of
you're
ways to build that roster, a lot of things to do.
yeah, if you like real bad guys and you're looking to have options, Cabal is definitely a good place for you to start. There's just outside of Avengers, they have the most options and the second most options in the game. Um, there's a lot to pick from. There's a lot of good characters in there. So if you're not one to be pigeonholed into, I'm trying to think of what affiliation has the smallest amount of characters currently. I want to say it's
Inhumans.
no, it has to be Wakanda, right? Wakanda or Inhumans.
Oh yeah, it's
It's probably
Wakanda.
Wakanda. So
Absolutely.
lucky
They're
for
also
them,
one of
yeah.
two affiliations that have two threat models.
Cabal does.
Hmm.
Hydra, Bob, and Bullseye.
Is it Bullseye?
Yep.
Yep. Bullseye. He's a very good two threat. Probably he's
Yep.
up there as contention as probably the best two threat in the game right now.
And so it's A Force, Guardians, and Cabal all have two threats,
Yep.
which is relevant in roster building. So
And again, just to kind of touch on it, if you're wanting to look into Cabal for maybe you're a newer player, you want some options. You also don't maybe want to be locked into this leadership because remember you can take multiple leaderships in a roster if you're building one. He also has a pair leader which is Sin, and where Red Skull, if you're playing him, probably about 95% of the time your plan is going to be just to choose violence on the table. That's kind of what they lend themselves toward. Sin
gotta roll
is
the dice good.
got to roll them dice good. Sin is a little bit more. You'll take some cheaper characters with her, and kind of play on scenario a little bit more. So if you're
If
wanting,
you
I'll go ahead.
it, if you want any Cabal tips, just seek out Borka online. He has all the good tech
He
for
has real good tech.
Cabal.
Yep, Borka 81. He totally didn't play one game with Cabal and then swear him off. So.
Get wrecked, kid.
All right. So we can kind of stop there, and we'll hand it over to Brad for comic books. So tell us what you have for Red Skull. People are more interested in finding more out about him.
Okay, I have 4 recommendations today, and I've read 3 out of the 4. So the first one is I found Captain America 298 by J.M. DeMatteis. Um, this is a well known run of Captain America, but this specific issue tells you Red Skull's life story in a single issue. So if you want to know the down and dirty about Red Skull, there it is. I've not read that issue. Stuff I have read. I'm saving that one for last. Uncanny Avengers 18 through 23. He actually shows up a lot in the Uncanny Avengers series. This is by Jerry Duggan, and Red Skull traps the Unity Squad, which has like Rogue and various other people on it, in the Avengers Mansion. I remember liking that one a lot. It's a good one. The Standoff event. So this was a big event, had lots of different series, lots of different writers and stuff. But my note here says things aren't what they seem in the small town of Pleasant Hill. I really liked it. It's kind of a mystery at first, and then everything goes boom. And then my number one recommendation for Red Skull: if you don't read anything else, you need to read Captain America 367. I didn't write down who wrote this for some reason, but this is the Acts of Vengeance crossover. You don't have to read the whole crossover; you can just read the single issue. But Red Skull gets Magneto's help to take down Captain America. And if you know anything about Magneto and Red Skull's backgrounds, it goes exactly how you would hope it does, and it's very satisfying.
Good stuff. That's the one you talked about. That's a little bit more of a mystery. That seems a little bit more interesting to me. It seems different from your usual fare, I guess.
Yeah, that was a good event, and you can find that. I think I double checked. All of these are on Marvel Unlimited, which is a great deal if people want to read comics. I was saying it was like the best deal in comics, but then I found out about um, Shonen Jump's subscription service, which is only like $3. And that's a really good deal.
Yeah, I'd say
But
so.
if you like manga, look into it. But Marvel Unlimited is a great deal. You usually get $60 for the year, and they have almost their entire back catalog. It's great.
Nice. All right. Well, I think that just
They're not
about.
a sponsor, by the way.
Also,
That's
for the
important to
record,
say.
If you want to sponsor us, feel free.
Yes, please do.
that book was written by Mark Gruenwald, Captain America 367.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that.
You are welcome. I gotta be useful for something every now and again.
All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps us up for Red Skull review. All in all, he's kind of sitting in the middle. So if you're interested in him, take a look. We might be having some special guests on here pretty soon to look at some of the future characters. So be looking forward to that. But until then,
And even some of the past characters.
and some of the past characters. You're right. If you guys kind of let us know what you want to see next, be sure to comment below. Let us know how you're liking the channel and stuff. And until then, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.